Well, let me now welcome on board Rupinder Brar, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Coal, to talk about what's happening in that sector and, of course, Coal India. Uh, Rupinder, great to have you today on ET Now. Thank you so much for your time. And firstly, wishing you and your entire team a very happy new year from all of us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be starting the new year with all of you and having the opportunity to wish all the listeners a very happy and a very successful 2026.
Thank you so much for your wishes. And I want to first talk about Coal India because reports are now suggesting that PMO has directed the Coal Ministry to map and list all subsidiaries of Coal India by 2030. Is that true?
Well, yes, it is always a good idea to go to the market and look for the best value for yourself. So we are also in the process of doing that.
So you've received the official notification from the PMO. Are you confirming that for us?
No, I'm not.
Okay. But are we at least heading towards listing all subsidiaries?
It's going to be done over a period of time. I can only say that for any company, it's always a good idea to look at its market valuation, and as and when the time would be right, the companies would like to explore the market dynamics.
Right, ma'am. Hi, this is Harsh here. So,
Hi, Harsh.
with regard to the two subsidiaries which are already in the pipeline, SECK and MCL both, uh, what's the timeline looking like in terms of the tentative timeline for the listing?
The two companies that are currently for which we've been doing roadshows are
Yes.
BCCL, Bharat Coking Coal, as well as the CMPDI, which is the exploration and prospecting arm company of Coal India. And very soon we should be looking at the market being played there for that.
And the objective, ma'am, being only value unlocking?
Mahanadi, let me correct you. This is
Yes.
not for Mahanadi coalfields.
Right. Yes. I figured that.
BCCL and CMPDI.
Yes. Yes. I figured that. And the objective is only value unlocking?
Yes, one of the larger objectives is value unlocking and also speeding up production, looking at the best collaborations of the public and private partnerships in making sure that India becomes Atmanirbhar in all its energy needs.
Will at least these two entities, ma'am, be listed by FY27?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, so very quick value unlocking there. Okay, and the other subsidiaries also will likely follow suit. Will it depend on market conditions at all?
Well, like for any other listing, all the dynamics that are required to be kept in the perspective would be kept by us also for our companies.
Ma'am, let me shift focus on power consumption because that's the other big piece which is at play. It's come off from the highs. Now, I know a bit of it is seasonality, but talk to us about what trends you're seeing and whether the upward trend will continue and at what pace and how are we placed in terms of consumption versus production?
So I'm very happy to share with all of you that in terms of the matching of the demand by the power sector and supply by the coal, we are continuously improving and the imports, I mean, the reflection, one of the reflections is in the fact that the imports have been going down. And if we look at the growth story for coal from 2013-14, where we were just about 515 million tons to 24-25 FY when we clocked 850 million tons in terms of Coal India, and the overall production for the first time in independent India went across 1 billion tons. That was a big announcement of last year. We're continuously keeping an eye on the demand of the power and are always ready to ramp up our production if the requirement so requires. And currently, if I may share with everyone, we have more than 400 mines operating in India, and continuously plans are being made to make sure that more and more mines are operationalized in the times to come. The ministry has very recently also done away with the approvals for geological reserve reports that had sought clearances earlier to speed up production. So lots and lots of things happening to map with the requirement of the power sector. And if we look at the things today, the kind of availability that is there at both the pit head as well as the power plants. It's been never like before. On Pithead itself, there are supplies of more than 35 days. If I look at data on the 15th of December, and power plants also having availability of more than 24 days. So things are really stable, and we are continuously keeping an eye to make sure that there is matching between demand and supply.
So you're not definitely foreseeing any sort of concerns around coal stock at power plants in the peak March to June period for the coming year?
No, we have not seen any in the last few years now, and we do not foresee any such because production capacities are very much on the mark. And because the ministry also keeps an eye literally every day on the demand, there is no reason for concern.
So since coal availability is no longer a problem for the sector, what about, or rather, how is the ministry working on developing evacuation infrastructure?
So thanks for asking that, because in fact that's been another area that we've really been focusing on. Because as far as coal goes, the first aspect is production, and the second very critical aspect is evacuation. So we've been working on the first mile connectivity to be taken up. That not only make sure that the time taken for the evacuation of coal is speeded up, but also it makes sure that it's environmentally more friendly. The turnaround time shortens, and therefore the cost itself also shortens. This year, if we look at the year that's gone by, more than 550 million tons actually got transported through the first mile connectivity medium. And it's led to diesel savings also of almost more than 3,000 crores, 3,300 crores to be exact. And we propose to finish 139 projects in the next few years, totaling the projects to that number. Apart from that, there is a continuous dialogue with the railways. There's always a lot of thrust on using the rail sea rail route, and lots is being done on that part also to make sure that evacuation from the production point to the point of user is actually met with.
Interesting. But if I were to look at the next decade, with renewables now expanding rapidly, how do you see Coal India's role evolving in India's power mix over the next decade?
So Coal India is also looking at the other sources of energy, which includes solar, the PSP, and we are working continuously towards that. We have targets for the company, and these are also continuously monitored to make sure that there are no slip-ups, and the mix between the renewables and the more conventional sources is continuously being looked at to make sure that we meet all the national as well as the global targets.
Ma'am, would nuclear also feature as part of the mandate there?
Can you please repeat the question?
Would nuclear also feature as part of the mandate there in terms of its growing
Well, I
role
mean,
towards?
for any company to explore different sources would very much be a part of business strategy. I wouldn't be able to comment on the specifics at this moment, but yes, considering that it's an important source of energy, I'm sure Coal India would also like to explore in the area.
Right. And also, ma'am, predominantly Coal India has been within the coal space, right? And the monopoly or the image that Coal India has is its monopoly in the coal space. When I'm looking at it from an investor lens, do you believe that this diversification could also mean that the reliance on coal will go down substantially from an India, from a national level perspective in a significant fashion, or would you believe that the growth will continue just at a slower clip?
So, from all the predictions and data projections that we have, in absolute terms, coal is still going to be a considerable source of energy in India. And we are making sure, therefore, that all our aspects of coal, in terms of using clean coal, in terms of making the first mile connectivity that we just spoke about, making sure that all norms of the environment are followed, is being looked at very closely, because we do see coal staying. And Yes, it will be added by all the other renewables, but it's going to be a healthy mix. Given that we have so much of coal availability in India, it does make a lot of sense for us to keep using coal responsibly.
Thank you so much for firstly taking out time and speaking with us, and of course being very, very candid throughout this conversation in giving us a great perspective, a lens into how you're thinking of the coal industry as a whole, but also Coal India in particular. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.